when you are being questioned at your pretrial deposition in a medical malpractice case, how will you know whether or not the defense lawyer who is asking you questions is a newbie, is a novice? And importantly, does it matter for you in your case? You want to know the answer? Come join me on this walk along the beach as I share with you the answer to that question. Hi, I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury attorney. The short answer is you will see the defense attorney come into the room with a stack of typewritten questions as if they are going to follow a script. That is how you know whether or not the attorney who is about to question you is a newbie, is a novice. Now, what's the significance of that? I have a very serious medical malpractice case with very significant injuries. The fact that the defense would send in a newbie attorney, does that mean they think my case is not valuable? What could it possibly mean? Well, I'm going to tell you something. You're reading way too much into it, and let me tell you why. When the defense sends in a newbie attorney, they're doing two things. One, they know that there's very little risk to them, to the defense, to send an attorney who does not have a lot of experience. Why is that? It's because the defense attorney is trying to learn information. This is the discovery phase of your lawsuit. And it's a very odd way of discovering information. It's a very formal way. The defense attorney comes in, asks you hundreds and hundreds of questions that could take all day, if not longer. And now you are obligated to sit there and answer virtually all of those questions. Here's what's interesting. A young defense attorney who has very little or no experience is basically going off a script. They're going off a series of questions that they believe are relevant or important to your particular case. And so literally they will come in and start checking off the boxes every single time they ask a question. Now, during COVID times, we don't have the opportunity, or I should say the luxury, of being in the same room with all the attorneys, with all the parties who are going to be asking you questions. Because now during COVID times, these depositions are typically done on a Zoom video call. So we don't typically see that. However, you may get the sense very early on that the attorney really isn't focusing on your exact claims, or is asking you a lot of questions that have no bearing whatsoever on the claims that you have made in the case, or possibly the defenses that they need to raise in order to defend the case. They're basically going on fishing expeditions, and the attorney is asking you a series of questions that have nothing whatsoever to do with the key issues in this case. Unfortunately, the rules of evidence in New York require you to answer those questions, and there are only a few questions that you are not permitted to answer. And I'll save that for a different video on another day. But in this instance, does it make a difference knowing that the defense sent in a young novice attorney who has no trial experience, who has never been to a trial before, has never tried a case before? What does it mean for you in your case? The answer is nothing. Why is that? Because they're sending a warm body in to question you, to learn information about what occurred, and to record observations about who you are as a witness. Are you nice? Are you polite? Are you respectful? Are you angry? Are you vengeful? Do you want to get revenge against the doctor who did this to you? And they report all that information back to the insurance company. So now they can properly assess the risk of going forward with your case and the risk of going to trial. Another reason why the defense would send a young, inexperienced attorney to question you is they want to give the young attorney time to get experience. And this is one of the key ways to do it without incurring the possibility of suffering any risk or ramifications. There's really no downside to sending a young defense attorney in to ask questions, but for us there is. What's the downside? The downside is that the attorney will persist in asking questions that are not related to the key issues in this case. And although I can try and redirect the attorney to pay attention to the real issues, in all likelihood, going down their checklist, this is one of the questions or multiple questions that they are told to ask for no reason whatsoever, other than they think, hey, it might be helpful at some later point. And in addition to giving this attorney some experience, for billing purposes, it also allows the defense attorneys to go ahead and send their young, inexperienced attorneys out to go ahead and generate bills that last many, many hours. And now it provides another source of revenue and income for the defense attorneys because they get paid by the hour. So if it takes them 8 hours to go ahead and do this deposition, they get more billing, as opposed to sending in a more experienced attorney A trial attorney, for example, who knows exactly what questions to ask and what information is needed in order to properly defend the case, and now it takes, let's say, 3 hours instead. Well, in that instance, it's a pleasure for me, it's a pleasure for my client. However, from the defense's standpoint, it may not be optimal to do that. So why do I share this information with you? I share it with you because nobody talks about this. And this is something that I think would be helpful for you as you're considering whether or not to bring a lawsuit for something that happened to you in New York. You know, I realize you're not watching this video just because you wanted to see the scenery. I realize you likely have questions and concerns about your own matter. Well, if your matter did happen in New York, but you have not yet started a lawsuit and are thinking of doing so, and still have questions that need to be answered, what I invite you to do is pick up the phone and call me. You know, I answer questions like yours every single day, and I'd love to chat with you. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at Oginski-law.com. That's it for today's video. I'm Gerry Oginski. Have a fantastic day.